No, I don't. I wouldn't say it makes it harder for me. For me, the hard part was just getting started 6 years ago because it was new and we're always afraid of things. So I think continuing to show that it is. I would never use the word easy. I don't think anything in this level should be easy, but it's worth it. It's going to be hard and it's going to be worth it because I'm going to get information that's, I think, going to help us win multiple games a year because I'm armed with more information than some of my opponents might be.
So I've heard you two know a lot about analytics and how to use it and can explain the deep dive into it. The first question I want to ask is just when analytics gets brought up, when you hear the word analytics, what does it mean to you? What context do you bring? What context does it have to you in your coaching?
For me, it's information. And I think we all know in today's society, information is more valuable than oil and gas and all that stuff, like it's gold, whatever. Information. It's another tool for us to help make decisions. Austin spoke to that. As coaches, we're judged on our worst days, not our best days. So we've got to be right way more often than we're wrong. And I've found through, the decision-making process, for me, the worst piece of information was the missing information. It wasn't the wrong or the right or the bad or the good. It was just the stuff I was missing. And so when I think and I hear an analytic or Marty brings me something or brings it to our group or brings it to the table, it's always that kind of paradigm shifting piece of missing information that either challenges me or changes me. One of the two. It either challenges me to kind of dig in and trust my eyes, or it challenges me to, well, they've only said, they've only taken this shot from that area that many times, and they've only done it this so many different ways, and this shot chart shows this. It either challenges me or changes me. One of the two, every single time. So I don't know, to kind of put a bow on that. It gives me information that I may have missed and helped to make the decision. And then it challenges me to either stick to what I saw with my eyes or changes me to make an adjustment.
Well said. Marty, how about you?
Yeah, I think that's really good stuff from Mike. Kind of building on that, I think the word analytics can get scary at times. I think people, but at the end of the day, it just means numbers and information like Mike talked about. So I think, just something as simple as a shot chart, I think can tell coaches a lot. So in my position, just how much information can I get to Mike? Can I get to the rest of the staff to help them make decisions? And like I said, that can be something as simple as a shot chart and kind of diving in more to, individual players, what the shots are coming from, play types of, what the shots are, all that stuff. But I think it's just information and helping out, in my shoes. How can I get as much of that useful information to the staff as easy as possible?
Tanner, that scary part that you kind of mentioned, sorry if I jumped on the question here, but like what I will tell you as a 56-year-old sitting here in front of a 23-year-old that like you've got to have a Marty on your staff to get the information out there. But then I think it's the relationship with your analytics and your coaches, because a 53-year-old like me is very easy to put the stop sign up and go, this is too much. So like I always kind of think like Marty brings me the 12-piece chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A, and I pare it down to a 4-piece chicken nugget to give to the kids or to a head coach, or take it up the pole. Like I don't know all those 12 things. I need to know the 4 most important, or combine the 4, or whatever. But I think the scary part of analytics, anytime somebody says scary, to me it's the unknown. It's those coaches that just don't know what it is. And they're afraid. We're all afraid of those things. We're afraid of what we don't know how to do. And it's intimidating when a 23-year-old kid comes in and says, blah, 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 and you're going, whoa. And Marty's from Wisconsin, so that doesn't help. And he watches everything on speed and a half. So but like for a 56-year-old, you got to go, okay, wait. And then you have to listen and you have to kind of pick it all apart because it is a lot. It can be overwhelming. But I think we all, that Marty gives us a dissertation for every prep. I mean, it's pages, but then he puts it in buckets and categories, and then I think coaches take it, and he's kind of serving in 2 roles. But I think some of the scary stuff, Tam, I mean, I listen to Joe Madden, I listen to people talk about, it's the connection between the coaches and the analytics staff. I heard Joe Madden say it the other day on something. He said, I want all of it. I want it all, but I don't want it on my bench. He said dugout. So to me, I don't want it on the bench when it comes decision time. I want it in the pregame. I want it to be things that we've pre-decided, things we've talked about ahead of time. But when it comes down to that moment, my mind can't go to this. Well, I wonder how many times they've switched ball screens on inbounds plays with 0.5 seconds. And Marty knows the answer. And if he doesn't give him a minute, he could probably find it during the timeout. But you got to have that within a split second to make that call. So it's things you have to pre-decide, and you have to take it in, and then you have to figure out how you use it. But I get why it's scary. I've seen the evolution of it, and it's been scary to me at times. But I think the more you dive into it, and I think that's why y'all stuff's so good, is because once somebody just start doing it and start using it, and you see that it impacts your decisions and it impacts your quality of your decisions. And I think in time, those coaches that have learned to bring analytics into their eyes, what they're seeing, I think those are the coaches that are going to survive the evolution that it's become. Until we start playing with robots, which I don't think is too far away. I saw some robots over in China playing soccer against each other. So until we get there and we still have a human element, I don't think analytics can overtake coaching. But I think it's continued to supplement it in positive ways. And then I think that's the key for us as coaches to get to our players, because they crave that. Their feedback loop is about this long. They want that information, and they want it now, and they want to see it, and they want it in a presentable format. And again, at the end of the day, if it doesn't help them be a better player and therefore help their teams win, they don't care about it. So you got to make it important.
Well, going back to the fear part and it being scary, how did you get over the fear? And how did you just get started doing it? What was the thing that pushed you?
I just kept knowing that how important it was that I do it. Just start using it. It's coming. There's too many people that were using it, and I felt like I was falling behind. So I got somebody I trusted. I went to somebody I trusted, and I said, hey, what am I missing out here? And probably a little bit of that pain that changes. We started losing some games that I thought we should have won, quite frankly, to some people that were good at analytics. And I'm like going, okay, well, and then of course I love Moneyball. I think we all as bad as that movie is in some shape and forms for analytics, it's great in other ways. But I just kind of embraced the fear and dug in and said, hey, if I want to continue to coach in this through this transition, I've got to jump in. But I got to find somebody I can trust, and somebody that's not going to make me feel old and obsolete and just, and this isn't a knock on Marty. Marty will remember, like Marty would just get free. He'd just say, let me give me your computer. And I'd go, no. I would say, teach me, wouldn't I, Marty? I'd say, show me, make me write it out. Because if I just kept constantly just giving it to him, then I don't ever get good at it, and I don't understand it as well. And I think we're all, kind of just, we're intimidated. We're afraid that 23-year-old Martys are out there everywhere going to take our jobs because they know how to work the computers. And that's a real thing. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
It's real.
And I think there's a bunch of coaches that stick their head in the sand and say that because, their life situation, or maybe they don't trust their analytics person or whatever. But, I think any amount of research and any amount of study and talking to the people that are doing it at the highest level will point to somehow in some way in a way that the analytics has helped them win a game or two that they wouldn't have otherwise. And that's the difference a lot of years in being in the NCAA tournament and not. So I don't know. There's a part of me that hopes nobody figures it out. I really do. I wish, Austin, you guys weren't so damn good at your job and go out and get all these people going on it, because I think it's helped people catch up. I think back in the day when we've always done analytics, I just did mine on a note card in a spiral notebook and a pencil. And I put the time in, and I outworked people. I can't do that anymore. I can't just outwork somebody, because somebody can go to the computer and it's happened times this year. I'll have watched a bunch of film and I'll say, we need to guard this ball screen that way. And Marty will go, "Oh, no, coach. There's only set that screen twice." And I'm like, "What the?" Sorry, that's a bad Wisconsin. It's a pretty good Marty Vosters. I don't know how well you know Marty. It's pretty. You can tell by his expression. A pretty good Marty, but he's right. Yeah, that screen has only happened this, or that ball handler, or this, or just some of the stuff he goes in there and finds, and the way he presents it to our players, and then you see, players going to him. They'll come up to him on the bench and go, "Hey, can you show me?" Because they know he's got it. So I don't know if that answers your question, Tanner, about the fear part, but that's I can get with it. Is it's intimidating. It's a lot, but once I got into it, it was like, hey, this is pretty logical. The way y'all have everything laid out, and Marty explains to me by going across, just the way he explains it, I almost wish I would have had to have been given a tutorial at some point in time. And that's what I encourage all young head coaches to get. And that's why I think we're going to continue to see people become good head coaches that have started out on the analytics side. And I think once, I don't know what year this is now, but I would say another 5 years, you're going to start having some head coaches that are like the Eric Spolstras that came up through the video room. You're going to have some very successful head coaches that came up through the analytic department. I know there already are, but I think, with the retiring of us old heads and the people that get evolved out of it, you're going to have some really good success stories to go out there and celebrate. It just takes time in the cycle to do all that.
Well, Marty, how about let's demystify that a little bit, because obviously you're really good at what you do, and you are in the numbers no matter what. And I feel like someone like you is going to be able, even if there wasn't just play, you'd be able to find source information and get to it. So, what does a stat factory and all the reports and analytics and just play do for someone like you, who is the guy?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's just simple in the way it's laid out. Like it's a simple answer there, but it's just the visual of it. I think the shot charts, the ways you can break it down by points per shot attempt that a lot of coaches like. The stat factory with the different team leader stuff. I think it's really easy to filter. Filter based on opponent, based on the last month, last 5 games, wins versus losses. I think all that stuff is just very visually appealing, and it's like right there at your fingertips, all in one place. So like you said, I think, in today's world, there's a million places to get the information, but I think Just Play does a better job than anybody else of putting the most relevant information right in front of you on one page, at one website, which is great.
The lineup analysis stuff too is, I think we get it a lot of different forms, but to me, it's the one I understand. It's the most user friendly. It's the most appealing to the eye. And when that happens, it's easy for me to sort. Like I can then pick out exactly what I'm looking for with the filters. I think, getting those narrowed down to the question you're trying to get answered. We had a little exchange yesterday when I was talking with Marty about some things. Like, I think the key is me knowing what questions to ask, and, I'm not trying to cut Marty. I'm trying to give Marty more time to go recruit and build his team at Akron, but I'm trying to cut out, the basic stuff, but the stat factory, it took me, I don't know how long it took me to get used to using that, but that's my go-to source now. Like if I have a question, that's where I start. And I may still have to get the old spiral notebook out and do my own to make it into my own. And I think I said this to Marty yesterday. I said, "Hey, Marty, I'm sure there's a way to do this faster than what I'm doing it. Do I need a calculator?" He goes, "Oh, you're not going to. If you need a calculator, call me." That was his exact answer. He said, "If you're getting your calculator out, call me because it's probably done for you already on Just Play." So,
and I think talking about the lineup was a good idea for Mike, because that's a great example of something in Just Play that like you can continue to break down more and more, and I can make it more granular. So the amount of varying stats you can find within the lineup analysis, I think, is incredible. It's all there, and like I said, there's just so many things you can kind of filter through on that lineup analysis. That's all great information.
Ken, I'm going to jump in here. Do you guys think that makes it hard? Because Mike, the fact that it can be so granular, because I mean, Mike, you kind of brought this up. Like, you kind of have to know what questions to ask in order to extract the value out of it that you need. Does that make it hard for people starting out, or
No,
Do you think coaches, always have questions about their team or their opponents?
no, I think that's what makes yours different is that you don't have to know the answers. You just have to know the questions. Like the answer's there. And that's the questions I'm asking. I know it's in there because, again, this goes back to the days when I was Gary Blair's video guy and I was making a 1 and a 2 with a VCR and a log. I had a piece of butcher paper that had 78 columns because Excel wasn't out yet now, guys. You got to think back to this. And Gary Blair literally wanted to know. He walked in the office one day and goes, "Hey, can you get me a clip of every time the referees had 2 whistles?" I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like, can you go the last 5 games and tell me every time a referee had 2 whistles? Yeah, coach, I'll get that for you. I had to watch 5. I had to watch them start to finish 5 games because I didn't have that on my category list. But it's there. I mean, I'm not saying that's one that's on there, but there's an idea if you don't have it yet. But
put that one on the list.
Yeah, number of 2 whistle calls. Yeah, because and then I did the film just to wrap this story up. I did the film. It took me. I didn't sleep in between when he asked me, and I gave it to him, and then he never even watched it. After doing it, I was like, "What'd you think, Coach?" He's, "I ended up not watching it." Oh yeah. No, awesome. No, I think that's what makes it good is that I can get on there and I can operate it just enough. But I know that if there is another layer, it's there. It gives me the confidence to jump on there. I think if it was loud and busy, it would probably keep me from going on there. It would intimidate me to the point I would feel overwhelmed and I wouldn't feel like, okay, let's just start. Okay, let's start by doing 5-player analysis before I do a 3-player analysis, and then before I get into wins and losses, and then before I get into all the things that's why we're always going to need an up and comer that's on this front end of their career to help us there. I think, but no, I don't. I wouldn't say it makes it harder for me. For me, the hard part was just getting started 6 years ago, 7 years ago, how many ever it's been now, because it was new and we're always afraid of things. So I think continuing to show that it is. I would never use the word easy. I don't think anything in this level should be easy, but it's worth it. It's going to be hard and it's going to be worth it because I'm going to get information that's, I think, going to help us win multiple games a year because I'm armed with more information than some of my opponents might be. But no, I don't think it's hard.
Makes sense.
You're Mike, you're just making my marketing life so much easier with these.
Yeah.
Any more, I might have to pay you.
Okay, go. Just Austin knows I'll work pretty cheap. I'll get a lot done for a Crown and Coke. One Crown and Coke goes a long way for me.
Done. Is there any examples, like a specific example of time where a specific insight you guys pulled from a Just Play report that directly influenced the decision you made?
I have 2 that jumped to my mind, but go ahead, Marty. You clicked on there.
I was going to see what you said first, but I think I guess a good recent example would be just the wins and losses breakdowns within the kind of like the team box scores. I think that stuff, again, just like how visually appealing it is and to get pretty quick, that's been really helpful for us. So I think Connecticut Sun, we played them twice in the last 3 weeks, and I think just some fairly basic box score stats I pulled from their win-loss data was super helpful. It kind of showed us as a coaching staff of who we really wanted to guard and who we, maybe we didn't have to show them quite as much attention. So I think it really affected our game plan defensively in those Connecticut games of who we had to take away based on their win-loss, box score stats.
I'll go back to more of my days at Arkansas than here, but because that was when I was making fast decisions like matchups, the player personnel, the player stats, the stuff that we got from the data on our opponents allowed me to be a lot wiser in our matchups. And then I would have I'd have confidence to making a change if I needed to make a change matchup wise, or, hey, it's okay for me to play this player off the bench today, maybe a few more minutes. So, I mean, 3 or 4 games a year guys, Austin, Tanner, I would tell you 3 or 4 games a year over the last 7 years as a head coach, I would attribute to something I learned from Just Play. Average. And it maybe I can't point, like you're asking for specific situations. I remember very vividly going to a matchup against Auburn in the second half of a game that we were just getting pummeled. We were getting pummeled, and we made a matchup change and made a good comeback in the second half, and were able to win the game. And I'd like to sit there and go, that was me. Look at me, all these whatever. And I would never do that, but I also know I wouldn't have made that change if I wasn't confident in the information I had pre-decided in the conversations with Todd and with Jeff and video, all my people. We did all those decisions on the front end, so it didn't feel like it was such a risky move to do it, in game on the fly.
Yeah, totally. How's it been for you guys having analytics in the same spot as like your scouts and your film, and does it affect the way you guys work at all?
I'm going to give that one to Marty because he does most of the layouts. This was my first year doing it, and I figured it out so quickly, on how to do the layout. But Marty's probably going to be best there. To me, it made sense. And I think we all want, as a head coach, stuff to make sense to us. So, like when he showed me what he needed for me to do to get in there and type and how to make the report go active, and those were all new things to me because that wasn't something I was doing as a head coach. So, Marty definitely be better at handling this one for me.
I think it's a great question, Tanner, and kind of just hits on, again, what I think separates Just Play. And the fact that it's all right there on one website, I think, is incredible. And then going back to what Mike talked about before of how you need to give the most relevant stats and analytics to the players, right? If the players don't understand it, then maybe it's, how useful is it? So I think going back to just some of the shot charts, box score stats, I think the ability to quickly pull that right into a scouting report that the players can look at on their phone, all one software is just incredible, that I think the players appreciate, even if it's a quick shot chart of, their matchup, box score stats of the last 5 games of their matchup. I think that stuff players love, and that, again, is very easy to all grab in one place within Just Play.
Yeah, then that kind of triggered something with me on what he said. It triggered it, and then I forgot about it because I looked down to read your text message. Marty was talking about the feedback, the trigger, the players. Oh, I know what it was. Like the ability to sort like the last 5 games, last 3 games, all that. I think that allows you to pivot quickly. Like if a lineup, like somebody all of a sudden goes out of the lineup right before your game, you're able to go back and then pull out minutes that they haven't played. Like things like that. That's a layer of that stuff that I think goes untapped by a lot of people. They don't think about doing that. Well, we're getting ready to play this game and player X got COVID. They're out. They tested positive. Whoa, what do we do now? It changes how they're going to play. All this stuff we've been prepping for, those stats can kind of go out the door so you can take it and resort it. So to me, I'm not going to ever use the word easy, but efficiency, especially at the college level where you've got a smaller staff, fewer people working on it, fewer hands in there to do the lifting, the ability for it to be on one place and the kids to get used to it, I don't know that value can be calculated, to be honest with you. Familiarity, easy to do, presentable to the eye, all of those things I do think matter. So like when y'all are discussing layout sizes, and Marty knows how I am, if a box is out of order, I want Marty to pull it. Can you just level that out for me? And he can. So like, I just think that stuff matters when y'all are having your meetings and your conversations with everybody, because kids can go and get things a lot in the feedback loop, and they can find their information a lot of different places. I think it's up to us as coaches to give them something that's their go-to. They're not using that as a supplement. This is their starting point. And when I said that earlier, like when I get ready to pull something up, I have one thing. I don't know what it's called, Marty. What's the bookmark over here on my little side? What's that little thing called up in the right-hand corner of my toolbar?
I think the bookmark tab, right?
I don't know. It's the only thing I have bookmarked.
Yeah, it's
Just play. That's it.
Yeah.
So I just go
That's
click
true.
on that, and it's right because that's what I go to most often. So
Awesome.
not IMDb, not the other stuff, not my music list. Just play. It's right there in the corner. I see it right now. It's right there in the corner by my toolbar.
I think that was the first thing when Mike got to LA was I got his computer and I bookmarked Just Play for him.
He got tired of me. He got tired of me going, hey, man. So, hey, just click on that little thing right there. So, if I have to get a new computer, I'm pretty much screwed.
Yeah. That's great. Well, speaking about something that gets really underutilized and I don't think coaches realize is our post-game reports. Can you guys talk about that and break that down?
Go, Marty, because I know you use them.
Yeah, I think the post-game report's super beneficial, especially at the college level. I think not the second spectrum stuff, post-game reports are helpful at the W, but college level, like at Akron, I know me and Genza would use that a ton just to look at, the possession breakdown of where shots came from and like the shot type stuff as well. But yeah, I think the post-game reports are great as well, that it's automatically sent to you is a big thing too, that coaches get that report, automatically to them as soon as the game wraps up. I know a lot of coaches love that. And I think, it's just a great way to kind of like a more advanced box score that players can have or coaches can have at their fingertips by the time they get home from the game is, something they love.
I like sorry, Austin. At Arcs, I would love getting them. Like, they would always know the right time to hand it to me. Like after a win or after a loss or, knowing how many days we had in preparation, like, hey, you're ready for this now. Here you go. And again, I'm always blown away when I see what Marty hands us and what my people at Arkansas used to hand me too. And I've always told him, don't ever tell people that this is hitting. A lot of times this is hitting print on Just Play because it's done for you. Because like if it was me, I wouldn't dare tell my head coach some of the stuff that I can just hit print on. I would never dare. Like if I was still working for Gary Blair and if this had come out when I was in that boat, I would have never bookmarked anything for him. So I would have wanted him to think I was, hey, look at this shot chart I did. Like, look at this, But there's still head coaches out there that do that. They don't know about it. So it can still be done. So if there's people that aren't still using it and aren't benefiting from it, guys, my guess is they don't know about it. That's my guess.
Probably true.
That's my guess. They've either,
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. My guess is they haven't seen it or they haven't seen it presented in the right way. Because, again, I think anybody who wants to continue to be a coach in today's society with the need to be good and be at the best, it's just like wadding up and throwing a tool away and just ignoring it. It just doesn't logically add up to me that you're going to work so hard in so many other areas of your program and you're going to ignore this one because you are either intimidated by it or you don't understand it or you're afraid of it rather than embrace it and use it and then figure out what works. There can be all levels. I don't know who the most analytical decision-making coach there is. I know there's spectrums, but there's no doubt in my mind that everybody along the timeline can use it in some form or fashion to help win a game or two games or three games. And I just think if they see it and they turn their head at it, then you don't want them around anyhow because they're not going to be a good representative. They're just ignoring a tool. And I think their players should know about it. I mean, I've used it against people. I'll tell y'all now, I used it against people in recruiting at Arkansas. I'll be like, hey, I'd send them a report. Well, where'd you get this? Well, we got it from this thing. Hey, that school you're looking at, if they have it, ask them. Bring it up. Ask them. And they would. I'd get a call every now and then and go, hey, man, you're negatively recruiting. I said, I'm not negatively recruiting. I'm just pointing out facts. You don't care enough about your players to give them, some hot zone shot chart stuff. You're not, and you can do that yourself. You don't need a Marty hanging around. They're beneficial.
One quick thing that I kind of want to unpack as you guys dive more into the post game reports. Can you talk a little bit about the tempo analysis that's on there and just how you guys use that, maybe going into a game or coming out of a game, talking about pace and when in the shot clock you're trying to score, like the points per possession information there. Are you communicating that to players and how you talk about pace?
I just used it to communicate because it's kind of an area I've been getting more involved in with our head coach in like, because we're getting ready to play how many games in 7 days, Marty? Like 5 games in 7 days or 5 games in 9 days or something like. And she looked at it and like, hey, we're going to have to rest a little more. We are going to have to sub. So if this player from the other team comes in, we're going to be okay. The tempo, the pace, using our timeouts, it gives me data like facts and film. Every head coach has some motto like that. I don't know what theirs is, but like, bring me facts or bring me film. Like, I used to hate when I'd walk into a timeout and one of my coaches would go, hey, we're getting out rebounded 17-14. I'd go, yeah, no shit. I got the same paper you do. No shit. Great job. Good reading. I need to be able to go to coach and say, hey, coach, look, we're getting hurt on the board just because so-and-so's tired, but they're getting ready to sub. We'd be better off, and this pace is picking up. We got to get her out 2 possessions before we get her out because we just gave up 2 offensive rebounds because she was tired. I do think it ultimately comes back to what you do with the information and how you implement it. But having it there, just to have the confidence to go to my head coach and say, I'm confident enough that we're going to be with this information I'm giving you, I think it'd matter. And I don't know how long it would be impossible. You can't see it with your own eyes. I used to, when analytics first came out, I was like, this is all stuff I'm seeing with my own eyes. But as soon as I started charting lineup efficiencies and realizing I was wrong, we used to have contests. I'd say, hey, who do y'all think had our best lineups? Your eyes lied to you. There's no way you can keep up with what happened when he was on the floor and what the score was. You look at it in one page now, and you can defend your stance or you can prosecute your stance. I've said that all the time. Like, I can prosecute you with this or I can defend you with this. Be better if we defended each other. So
Makes sense. Marty, on the tempo, I mean, like how have you guys kind of used some of that information, this summer and kind of what you've put together?
Yeah, for sure. That stuff's really helpful. I think, Mike hit on how it helps our self-scouting, but I think it's been important for opponent scouting as well. If a team really struggles to guard in the last 8 seconds of the shot clock, that's when we can really emphasize in our scout, hey, we need to get a paint touch. We need a few reversals to get a good look against these guys. I think specifically second half of the year, we're trying to play faster here. And I think that's been, again, kind of going to the scouting piece. There's certain teams who struggle to guard in transition. So I think looking at that stuff in the post-game reports, in, some of the other breakdowns and just play, the lineup stuff, you can see how another team guards, in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. And, if it's a team that really struggles to guard early in the shot clock, like we just emphasize even more in prep, hey, we really got to push pace. This team struggles to guard in transition. We need rim runners. We need people leaking out to the corners. Like, how can we, even push pace and emphasize that to the players more? And I think in today's world, Mike's kind of hit on it, but the more the players can understand some of those basic stats in a scout, the more it helps them. I think you give players a ton of confidence when you're able to tell them, hey, this is the worst transition defense team in the league. There's no reason we don't try to get 18 transition possessions tonight. And if we do that, I think we're going to have a good chance to win. And I think when you can tell players stats like that, hey, their transition defense is 1.5 points per possession, that gives them confidence to really run and gun that night.
Somebody really famous said one time, I don't know who it was, said they will never believe the message until they believe in the messenger. And that's what it gives you the confidence to stand up and deliver. Hey, y'all go watch the film. Go do it. Do all that if you want to. Or you can take our experience and the fact that we've been – now to do that, we have to be right come game time. Like, we can't go into a scout or a meeting and tell these kids – like Marty's saying, hey, this team's going to play really fast. All of a sudden they come out going, walk the thing up, make 17 passes. Then they look at you like your credibility is shot in a heartbeat. And that's why I have relied on those things is to build credibility so that in the heat of the moment, if I say something even if I might not be 100% accurate, they don't care. They believe it. They buy it because I've built up enough trust. Our staff's built up enough trust in them that what we're saying is worthy of their time. We're not wasting their time with something that's not going to impact winning. So I also think there's never been a team that, played hard as they possibly could for their team, their coaches, if they don't think they're smart. I think players that feel like their coaches and their staff's preparing them and they're giving them the best stuff, I think they play harder. I think they play looser. I think they play freer. I think they play reactive instead of being proactive instead of reactive. They're pushing they know why they're doing stuff. It's a little thing that goes a long way in a lot of different areas, practice, games, everything they do.